When I started out, I was that young guy working at the department store, making an honest living but dreaming of something more. I'd look at successful people and think, sure, it must be nice to have those opportunities. The turning point in my life came when I realized I had it all backward. Those successful people I admired. They weren't waiting around for opportunity to knock. They were out there building their own doors. I remember this moment so clearly. I was sitting at my little desk during lunch break, counting my pennies, trying to figure out how to stretch my paycheck just a little further. That's when my mentor walked by and asked me a question that changed everything. How long are you going to wait for your life to begin? Those words hit me like a thunderbolt, because I had been doing what most people do, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for someone to discover my potential, waiting for the stars to align. But success doesn't work that way. Success isn't like a bus that shows up on a schedule. You can't just stand there at the stop hoping it arrives. Every successful person I've ever met, every single one, has this one thing in common. They got tired of waiting. They understood something so fundamental, yet so many of us miss it. They understood that opportunity isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, someone out there is taking their first step toward creating their own opportunity. Someone is picking up the phone to make that call they've been afraid to make. Someone is enrolling in that course they've been putting off. Someone is writing the first page of their business plan. And you know what makes this fascinating? They're not any more qualified than you. They don't have any special advantages. The only difference is they decided to stop waiting. I see some of you nodding because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You felt it, haven't you? That little voice inside saying, there's got to be more than this. Well, I'm here to tell you that voice is right. There is more, much more. But here's the catch. It's not going to come knocking on your door while you're sitting on your couch watching TV. And you know what's really fascinating about waiting? We've turned it into an art form. Oh, we're clever about it too. We dress it up in nice clothes and call it being prudent or waiting for the right time. But let me tell you something that took me years to understand. There's a huge difference between being prudent and being paralyzed. I used to keep a little notebook of all the reasons why now wasn't the right time. You'd be amazed at how creative we can get with our excuses. The economy isn't right. I need more experience. I should wait until the kids are older. Maybe next year. Sound familiar? I bet it does. Because these aren't just excuses, they're comfortable little lies we tell ourselves to stay in our comfort zones. But here's what nobody talks about. The real cost of waiting. Oh, it's not just about the opportunities we miss. It's about something far more precious. You see, every day you wait is a day you can never get back. And it's not just a day, it's the compound interest of that day. Let me explain what I mean. Suppose you have an idea, a business idea, a career change, anything that could transform your life. Every day you wait, you're not just losing that day, you're losing what that day could have grown into. It's like having $1,000 and choosing to hide it under your mattress instead of investing it. 20 years later, you still have $1,000, but what could that $1,000 have become if you put it to work? The same principle applies to your dreams, your goals, your life. The cost of waiting isn't just time. It's growth, experience, connections, momentum. And here's what's really tragic. Most people waiting for the perfect moment don't realize that the perfect moment is a myth. I remember talking to a gentleman after one of my seminars. Successful guy, owns several businesses now. He told me something that stuck with me. He said, you know what? When I started my first business, I wasn't ready. The timing wasn't perfect. The economy wasn't great. I didn't have all the answers, but I started anyway. And looking back, I realized that not being ready was the best thing that could have happened to me because it forced me to figure things out. It forced me to grow. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about risk? What about failure? And that's a good question. But let me ask you this, what's riskier, taking action when things aren't perfect, or waiting until all your dreams expire. Because they do expire, you know? Opportunities have expiration dates. Markets change. Technologies evolve. Life moves on. And it becomes a habit, a dangerous one. Because the longer you wait, the more reasons you find to keep waiting, the more comfortable you get within action, the more your dreams start to feel like distant fantasies instead of possible realities. I see some of you shifting in your seats right now. Maybe you're thinking about that project you've been putting off, that business you've been meaning to start, that conversation you've been needing to have. And maybe you're feeling a little uncomfortable. Good. That discomfort, that's your inner wisdom telling you something important. That discomfort you're feeling right now, that's your first clue to understanding what true opportunity really is. Because opportunity isn't what most people think it is. It's not some magical moment that falls from the sky. It's not a golden ticket that someone hands you. No, opportunity is something far more interesting and far more accessible than that. I've spent decades studying success, studying opportunity, studying the way life really works. And I've discovered something fascinating. Opportunity is everywhere, but it's wearing work clothes. It's disguised as problems to be solved, as gaps to be filled, as needs to be met. The richest people I know, they got that way by solving problems for others. The most successful ones, they saw what others overlooked. Let me give you an example that changed my whole perspective. Years ago, I was complaining about the price of groceries, just complaining like most folks do. But then I met this fellow who looked at the same high grocery prices and saw something different. He saw an opportunity. He started buying in bulk, dividing things up, and selling to families in his neighborhood who couldn't afford to buy in large quantities. He solved a problem. He filled a need. That's what opportunity looks like in work clothes. The marketplace of life, now that's something worth understanding. It's like a vast ocean of needs, wants, problems, and desires. And here's what's fascinating. This marketplace doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your background, your education, or your past failures. It only cares about one thing. Are you bringing value to the market? I remember when this really hit home for me. I was talking to a young entrepreneur who started with nothing. No money, no connections, no fancy education. But he understood something crucial about the marketplace. He told me, I realized that if I could solve people's problems, money would follow. The bigger the problems I solved, the more value I created, the more I would earn. Simple, isn't it? But most people miss it because they're too busy waiting for opportunity instead of looking for problems to solve. Most people miss it. Success leaves clues. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs, if you know how to look for them. Every successful person, every successful business, every successful venture, they all leave clues about how they did it. The fascinating thing is, these clues are usually hiding in plain sight. Take any successful business in your community, study it, really study it. What problem does it solve? What need does it fill? How does it create value? The answers to these questions, they're your education and opportunity. They're your roadmap, because success isn't random. It follows patterns, and these patterns can be learned, understood, and replicated. But here's the key, and this is crucial. You have to train your mind to see these opportunities. It's like developing a new sense. Where others see problems, you must learn to see possibilities. Where others see obstacles, you must train yourself to see openings. This isn't just positive thinking, it's practical thinking. It's strategic thinking. I remember meeting a woman who made a fortune in the cleaning business. Know how she started. She noticed that busy professionals in her area were stressed about keeping their homes clean. That was the clue. The opportunity wasn't in cleaning. It was in solving the stress problem of busy professionals. She didn't wait for opportunity. She saw a problem and created a solution. That's how real opportunity works. Won't you understand what true opportunity is? Once you start seeing these patterns and clues, you can't unsee them. Your mind begins to work differently. You start seeing opportunities everywhere. And this is where most people get stuck. Seeing the opportunity is only the first step. Seeing opportunity everywhere is powerful, but it's just the beginning. What transforms your life is what you do with that vision. And this brings us to something so fundamental, so crucial, that it changed my entire life when I finally understood it: the philosophy of creation. Now, I want you to really hear this, because this might be the most important thing you'll hear today. Most people live their lives like leaves in the wind, blown about by circumstances, by the economy, by what other people think or say. But there's another way to live. There's a philosophy of creation that puts you in the driver's seat of your own life. The first principle of this philosophy is personal responsibility. Total, complete, absolute responsibility for your life. Not partial, not most of it, all of it, every single bit of it. This is where most people get uncomfortable. They want success, but they don't want responsibility. They want better results, but they want to blame the economy, the government, their boss, their parents, their circumstances. The day you take full responsibility for everything in your life is the day your life begins to change. Because here's what's fascinating about responsibility. It gives you power. When you take responsibility, you take back control. You move from being a victim to being a creator. I remember talking to a young man who was complaining about not having any opportunities in his small town. I asked him, "Who's responsible for your life?" He said, "Well, if I lived in a bigger city." I stopped him right there. See what happened? He was giving away his power. He was making his success dependent on external circumstances. At the law of cause and effect. This law is as reliable as gravity. It's working whether you believe in it or not, whether you understand it or not. Every effect in your life has a cause. Every result has a reason. This isn't philosophy. This is physics. It's how the universe works. If you don't like the effects in your life, you have to change the causes. If you don't like what you're reaping, you have to change what you're sowing. Simple. Yes. Easy. No. Because it requires something that most people aren't willing to do. It requires you to be honest with yourself about what you're actually doing, not what you say you're doing. I learned this lesson the hard way. I used to say I wanted success, but I wasn't doing what successful people do. I said I wanted financial freedom, but I wasn't studying financial principles. I said I wanted better relationships, but I wasn't becoming a better person. See the disconnect? The effects didn't match my desired causes. And this brings us to one of the most powerful principles of creation: building your own door when none exists. This is where rubber meets the road. This is where theory becomes practice. This is where excuses end and creation begins. You know, I love the story of the young woman who wanted to get into the fashion industry. She didn't have connections. She didn't have a fancy degree. All the traditional doors were closed. But instead of waiting for a door to open, she created her own. She started a fashion blog, built a following on social media, created her own opportunities. She understood something crucial. If the door doesn't exist, build it. Building your own door means refusing to accept that the only way is the traditional way. It means understanding that in today's world, the old paths to success aren't the only paths. It means being willing to do what others won't do, to try what others haven't tried, to think what others haven't thought. When you start creating your own doors, you develop something invaluable. The creator's mindset. You stop seeing the world as a fixed place with limited opportunities. You start seeing it as a canvas for creation, a place where opportunities can be manufactured, not just found. But, and this is crucial, this philosophy of creation isn't just about big, dramatic actions. It's about the small daily choices that compound over time. It's about consistently choosing creation over consumption, action over excuses, responsibility over blame. You know what fascinates me most about creation? It's not random. It's not mysterious. It's built on pillars, fundamental principles that, when understood and applied, transform wishes into reality. I've discovered 6 of them, and I want to share them with you because they changed everything for me. The first pillar is personal development. Most people think success is about what they do, but that's only partly true. Success is first about who you become. You see, your income, your relationships, your opportunities, they're all byproducts of who you are as a person. I remember when I first started studying successful people, I was looking for their secrets, their strategies, but I discovered something far more valuable. I discovered that they all shared this common trait. They were constant learners, constant improvers. They understood that the marketplace pays for value, and your value is directly tied to your personal development. If you want to earn more, you must become more. Simple as that. Read the books, attend the seminars, listen to the audios, take the courses. And this is crucial, don't just collect information. Apply it, use it, test it, make it part of who you are. The second pillar is skill acquisition. Now, this is where it gets practical. In today's world, your skills are your security, not your job. Your skills, I tell people all the time, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, develop more skills. The marketplace is constantly telling us what skills it values. It's speaking to us through demand, through problems that need solving, through opportunities that need taking. But most people aren't listening. They're too busy complaining about what they don't have instead of developing what they need. The third pillar, and this one's crucial, is network building. Your network is your net worth. Now, I'm not talking about collecting business cards or having thousands of social media connections. I'm talking about meaningful relationships built on value exchange. Here's something powerful I learned. You're always just one relationship away from everything you want. One connection, one conversation, one handshake away from your next big opportunity. But here's the key. You have to build these relationships before you need them. You have to give value before you expect to receive value. The fourth pillar is market awareness. This is about keeping your finger on the pulse of opportunity. It's about understanding trends, recognizing patterns, seeing where the market is going, not just where it is. You know what's interesting? Most people are so busy looking at what is it they miss, what could be. I remember talking to a successful entrepreneur who told me something profound. He said, the biggest opportunities aren't in solving today's problems. They're in solving tomorrow's problems today. That's market awareness. That's seeing around corners. That's understanding where the puck is going, not where it is. The fifth pillar is value creation. This is the heart of it all. Everything else serves this purpose, creating value for others. You see, the marketplace is ruthlessly fair. It doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your contributions. It doesn't care about your potential. It cares about your performance. Your income is directly proportional to the value you create for others. Want to increase your income, increase your value, want more opportunities, create more value. It's that simple and that challenging. And finally, the sixth pillar, timing and action. This is where everything comes together because you can have the best personal development, the strongest skills, the biggest network, perfect market awareness, and the ability to create tremendous value. But if you don't take action, it all means nothing. Timing. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about making the moment perfect through your actions. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The same is true for creating opportunity. I remember meeting a gentleman who waited 10 years to start his business. Know what he told me? He said, I waited for the perfect time, and you know what? When I finally started, it still wasn't perfect. I just decided to make it perfect through my efforts. These six pillars, they work together. They support each other. Personal development increases your ability to acquire skills. Better skills make you more valuable to your network. A stronger network increases your market awareness. Greater market awareness helps you create more value. And timing and action bring it all to life. But here's what's really exciting about these pillars. They're not fixed. They're not static. They grow stronger with use. The more you've developed personally, the easier it becomes to acquire new skills. The more skills you acquire, the more valuable you become to your network. The stronger your network, the better your market awareness. It's a beautiful upward spiral of opportunity creation. These pillars don't care about your background. They don't care about where you started. They only care about where you're going and what you're willing to do to get there. So how do you bring these pillars to life? How do you transform them from concepts into reality? That's where the daily disciplines come in. Because success isn't about what you do occasionally. It's about what you do consistently. It's about the small decisions you make when nobody's watching. Let me tell you about something that changed my life. My morning ritual. You see, I discovered that the first hour of your day determines the quality of your entire day. Most people start their day by reacting to emails, to phone calls, to other people's emergencies. But successful people, they start their day by creating their mindset, creating their focus, creating their plan. My morning ritual isn't complicated. It's simple, but it's powerful. 30 minutes of reading something that feeds my mind, 20 minutes of planning my day, 10 minutes of quiet reflection. That's it. But here's what's fascinating. This simple ritual has produced more results in my life than almost anything else. Why? Because it puts me in control of my day instead of letting my day control me. Now let's talk about time management. But wait, that's not quite right. You can't really manage time, can you? Time moves at the same speed for everyone. What you can manage are your choices. And here's something powerful I've learned. Successful people don't have more time than you do. They just make different choices about how they use their time. I remember meeting a successful businessman who told me something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, I don't have time management problems. I have priority management problems. Think about that. We all have the same 24 hours. The difference is in how we prioritize those hours. At the end of each day, write down the 6 most important things you need to do tomorrow. Not 20 things, not 10 things, 6 things. Then number them in order of importance. The next day, start with number 1 and stay with it until it's complete. Then move to number 2 and so on. Simple? Yes. Easy? No, because it requires discipline. It requires saying no to distraction. But where it gets really interesting, strategic thinking. Most people confuse being busy with being productive. They confuse activity with accomplishment. Strategic thinking is about asking better questions. Questions like, is what I'm doing right now moving me closer to my goals? Is this the highest and best use of my time? Is there a better way to do this? I remember talking to a young entrepreneur who was working 18 hours a day, but barely making progress. When we looked at how he was spending his time, we discovered something fascinating. He was majoring in minor things. He was so busy doing things right that he wasn't doing the right things. And this brings us to what might be the most important discipline of all, consistent action. You see, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. They get excited about their goals, take massive action for a few days or weeks, then stop. But success doesn't work that way. Success is like building a wall. You lay one brick as perfectly as you can lay a brick, then you lay another one, then another. It might not look like much at first, but if you keep laying one brick at a time, eventually you have a wall. And that wall is built with discipline, with consistency, with daily choices. These daily disciplines, they compound. Just like money compounds in a bank account, disciplines compound in your life. The small choices you make today might not seem significant, but multiply them by 365 days, by 5 years, by 10 years. You know what stops most people from implementing these disciplines? It's not lack of knowledge, it's not lack of opportunity. It's something far more basic, far more human, fear. And here's what's fascinating about fear. It's not your enemy. It's actually trying to protect you. But from what? I remember the first time I had to make a major business decision. My hands were shaking, my stomach was in knots. And you know what I realized? That fear wasn't trying to stop me, it was trying to make me prepare better, think deeper, plan more carefully. Once I understood that, everything changed. Fear is often a compass pointing toward your growth. When you feel fear about something that you know you should do, that you know would be good for you, that fear is often showing you exactly where you need to go. And this is crucial, I'm not talking about being reckless. I'm talking about taking calculated risks. Every significant opportunity comes with risk. The key isn't to avoid risk, it's to manage it. It's to understand it. It's to prepare for it. I met a successful businessman once who told me something profound about risk. He said, "I never risk anything I can't afford to lose, but I'm willing to risk anything I can afford to lose if the potential reward is worth it." That's calculated risk-taking. That's intelligent risk-taking. And what's really exciting about courage, it's not something you're born with, it's something you develop. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you face a fear and take action anyway, you build your courage muscle. Start small. Take one small courageous action today, then another tomorrow, then another the next day. It might not feel like much at first, but remember what we said about compounding. Courage compounds too. Each small act of courage makes the next one easier. Action cures fear? Not thinking about it, not analyzing it, not waiting for it to go away. Action, movement, progress. Here's something fascinating about taking those courageous actions. They multiply. They create what I call the multiplication effect. It's like dropping a pebble in a pond. That one small action creates ripples that go far beyond the initial splash. Most people are waiting for the big break, the huge opportunity, the life-changing moment. But here's what I've discovered. Those big moments, they're usually the result of 100 small decisions, 1,000 tiny actions, all compounding over time. I remember talking to a successful real estate investor. You know how he started? By driving around his neighborhood looking for properties that needed work. One small action. But that action led him to meet a property owner, which led to his first deal, which led to another deal, which led to relationships with other investors, which led to bigger opportunities. One small action multiplying over time. It works in every area of your life. Every skill you learn multiplies your capabilities. Every relationship you build multiplies your opportunities. Every problem you solve multiplies your value in the marketplace. When you learn one new skill, you don't just add that skill to your arsenal. You create new combinations with every skill you already have. That's multiplication, that's compound interest of capability. That's how ordinary people create extraordinary results. But here's the key, and this is crucial. You have to start. You have to set that first domino in motion, because once it starts falling, it creates momentum. And momentum, that's when the magic happens. Let me ask you something. What's the greatest cost of waiting? It's not just the opportunities you missed today. It's all the multiplied opportunities those opportunities would have created tomorrow, next month, next year. That's what's at stake right here, right now, in this moment. Everything we've talked about, the philosophy of creation, the 6 pillars, the daily disciplines, overcoming fear, it all comes down to this moment, this decision, this choice. Because that's all life really is, a series of moments where we either choose to create or choose to wait. I want you to think about something right now. Think about where you were 1 year ago. Are you where you wanted to be? If not, what's going to be different 1 year from now if you don't make a different choice right now? Here's what I know. There's someone in this room who's been waiting for the right time, waiting until they're ready, waiting until they're sure. And you know what? That person knows exactly what their next step should be. They've known it for a while. They just haven't taken it yet. Well, here's what I want to tell that person. The time is now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when everything is perfect now. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the perfect moment is the moment you decide to begin. Take out your notebook right now. Write down one action, just one that you know you need to take. The one that's been nagging at you. The one you've been postponing. Now write down when you're going to do it. Not someday. Not eventually. Put a specific time and date. Opportunity isn't waiting for you. It's waiting on you. And everything you want, everything you dream about, everything you hope for,